happening, I will leave you. And I was being dead serious. To learn to ask me for things. You need to learn to tell me, to basically let me control you. Never thought like I would experience something like that. When your gut tells you something's gonna happen to you, you need to listen to that. I would do differently and everything. So like, hi, it's me, Jaylia. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing part 3 of my story of my toxic relationship, emotional abuse, having to escape, and just overcoming what I went through. So we had part 1 was introduction to who I started dating. Part 2, we took a deeper dive into once we had moved and started living together and how things started escalating and getting worse. In this part, we're going to talk about how I started to realize, hey, I need to escape and I need to get back home. So obviously content warning, so please, if you can't handle this type of stuff, watch my other fun videos. So please like, comment, subscribe, and let's continue into this story. Okay, so where I stopped at is basically we did the deep dive into he started escalating, he started threatening to be violent in my family home. And yeah, that's when I started to really question what's going on in my life. So basically by the time he was like threatening all this stuff, it was early October, and I was still like holding out hope. Like, I kind of had talked about it with my family, but I didn't really go into depth of what was seriously happening and just how what was being done to me. So my mom and my sisters were like, oh, just have a like conversation with him and like tell him like, hey, you need to fix your behavior or I'm gonna leave. And so I had that conversation with him, and he acted like he was like open to it. He acted like he understood, and especially because of the language gap, he used that a lot against me in arguments. So when I would be like, hey, like, the way you're acting is inappropriate, the way you're acting is like not okay, he would be like, I don't understand, Jay, I don't understand. And I knew he understood. I knew he just wanted to act like he didn't. So I had the conversation with him, and I was like, if this keeps happening, I will leave you. And I was being dead serious. Like, I was like, if you do not improve, I'm gone. I'm done. And he was just like, M was like, Jay, no, please, give me a chance, please. So then I was like, you get one more chance. After that, I'm done. And it was always like, you love me, Jay, you love me. And I was like, I don't love how you act. I don't love that. And yeah, so it was definitely So I was like, okay, he's gonna get better because we had this conversation. No, honestly, it just kept getting worse and worse. And just every little thing, he would make a big deal about every little thing he would want to fight about. Like, there was once where, like, the preschool that I was working at, they had given me the key to open up, so I had to go a little earlier. And I told him, I was like, hey, they gave me the key. Like, I have to leave a little earlier tomorrow. A normal person would be like, oh, yeah, okay. Not him. He pretty much said, why didn't you ask me if you could take the key? First of all, I don't need to ask him if I could take the key for my work. That has nothing to do with him. And second of all, he wasn't going to be affected by if I went earlier. And by earlier, it's like an hour earlier, if even. And I was like, but I'm going to be home earlier. Like, they said I can go home earlier, just going earlier. And he was like, no. And he's like, and he pretty much was like, you're gonna, like, a lot of his things was like, you need to learn to ask me for things. You need to learn to tell me, to basically let me control you. I need to teach you a lesson, basically. And the lessons would be keeping me awake, sleep deprived. And he says, I'm not gonna let you sleep, and you're gonna be super tired tomorrow, because because I had to wake up earlier. So he's like, I'm not gonna let you sleep, so you can learn to ask next time if you wanna take the key for them. Yeah. To ask. Yeah. So basically that was when I was like, I don't think I can do this anymore. And then, like, the week after that, I visited my mom. I had like a dance performance, and he and my mom, she was like, she wanted to talk to me because he wasn't even supposed to be coming in that visit, but he wanted to come to try to control me more. And I think he was starting to try to, at this point, not have me be alone with my family. So my mom wanted to get, like, breakfast before we went back to the house, like, to the town. And he basically tried to make me not, like, go. And he's like, I don't want you to go. And I was like, I need to see my mom. I need to talk to my mom. And then he was like, fine. And then he basically said, give me your keys. If you're not back at this time, I'm gonna drive away and take your car. First of all, he doesn't have a driver's license. He's um he doesn't basically know, like, where to go. But he was basically like, give me your keys, and if you're not back by this time, your car will be gone, basically. So it basically made it so I couldn't focus on talking with my mom, and I had to rush this breakfast pretty much because he was said that if we're not back at this time, and I pretty much, and we were gonna be a little late. So I, like, texted him. I was like, "Oh, we're just gonna be a little late, but we're almost home." It was that bad. It was to that point where it's like I'm texting him scared that he's gonna take my car that I own, that I bought, that he doesn't even have a license to drive. And it's just stuff like that that was like, he would, like, yell about things and be like, no. And, like, thinking back, there was like one time where we were having a picnic, and I, like, made all this food, prepared, got nice, and he, I don't know, he was acting fine. And we were gonna do like a cute picnic experience just at a park, and he forgot a speaker, and I was like, oh, we don't need the speaker. I had already started driving, and he pretty much was like, no, you need to turn around. And I was like, I'm not gonna turn around for a speaker. We don't need it. And he basically took my keys out of the ignition while I was driving, and basically started yelling. It was like, I need it. So, and he's like, you need to turn around right now. So yeah, so I had turned around, and then he made it seem like it was my fault, and because I wasn't enjoying this picnic, that I should have enjoyed the picnic after he yelled at me, and could have ruined my car, could have gotten us injured, and and then he made this whole thing like he wasn't coming back home, and like he, because I was like, I'm not dealing with you, and then he basically was like, I don't like how you're acting, so I'm not gonna come home, and you can just leave me at this park. So it became a whole thing of like me trying to get him back to the house, and yeah, he always found a way to make something he did wrong and turn it around and have it be my fault for something that he caused. Like, I'm not picking fights with people left and right. So yeah, it was something he caused. So that was a little off topic, but basically at the breakfast with my mom, she talked to me like really deep and was like, I don't think he's the guy for you, and I don't think and she didn't know everything that was going on, and um she basically, like, I think she could see that I wasn't happy, because how it's, I'm not someone that fakes being happy. Like, if I'm not happy, I'm not happy. So I think she saw that, and she basically was like, you can leave, because also remember, we were planning on getting married in November. It's October, like the middle of October, and she's like, don't make the mistake of getting married. And she basically was like, told me to break up with him without telling me to break up with him, and that, to me, I was like, yeah. And then she was like, oh, you probably should be with someone older, someone more mature. And to me, I think that was like my sign that like I need to get out of this, and what's going on is not okay. And just, yeah. And that week, when I um when we drove back to the rental, it just wasn't getting better. It was just the same shit, the same constant thing. And I it was so that week, it was the week before Halloween. We had visited, so then it was the week of Halloween, and I was basically on Halloween. That was so we had to make our payment for the rental every 31st of the month, because that was when we moved in. It was August 31st, so every 31st of the month we had to make the payment. And for some reason he decided to be like, oh, because we had fought before the night before, so he was like, I'm not gonna pay for the rent, you have to figure that out. And for me, he never really tried to manipulate the money. Like, he always paid me how the amount he was supposed to pay. So the second he was like, I'm not gonna pay the money, that's when I was like, oh hell no, you do not mess with my money. Oh hell no. Like, with me and money, you do not mess with me with that. So the second he said that, I pretty much was like, okay, I'm ready to leave him. So because he was so controlling, he had like all the passwords to my phone, to my tablet. So I knew I had to be super like discreet about it, and because I was scared, because I was like, if he sees texts of me planning to leave him, he's gonna have a whole blow up. So I was like, I need to act, and I need to act fast. So when he was like, I'm not gonna pay you, I said, okay, then we're done. Like, I'm done with you. And and then he was like, no, Jay, I was just kidding. Always loved to say it was a joke. That was his. That's his big thing, was it was a joke. And it's like, I know it wasn't a joke. Like, I know how serious you were about it, but I somehow was able to get him to give me the payment. So then I was like, okay, at least that like secures November, so I can basically start moving November. And so I basically emailed my mom, because I don't think he really knew how to get into my email. So I emailed my mom and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I need to move back home. Like, I'm done. Like, I'm done. And so then I privately, so we acted fast. She was like, okay, text the rental guy. I texted the rental guy and was like, hey, this situation is not great. I need to move out. We need to move out. And I told I was like, because I was basically like, I'm done. We're done. I'm breaking up with you. And that night I was like, I went from my lunch from work, and I basically was like, I took, because in my mind I was like, I'm gonna go home today. So I took some clothes. I took my important papers, because I was like, if he's gonna fuck with something, he's gonna try to like to fuck with my important papers. So I took it. I went back to the work and was gonna leave right after. So yeah, it's a little whole scheme just to escape. And yeah, it was definitely like a scary time for me to be like, I have to escape and I have to do this like fast and discreet, because it's like someone like that can't you can't give them like time to be like, oh, I think I'm gonna break up. No, you have to act fast before they can scheme and plan. So I acted fast. I took some of my stuff, and I went back home, and then I spent the weekend at home. And he was all like constantly calling me, not working. He stopped working because he was distraught, and he kept calling me and texting me and not letting me live. And so then I went back, and he has the audacity to ask me like if I was having sex with people when I went home. And I pretty much was like, no, like, I'm breaking up with you. I'm escaping. And that whole week, he was pretty much like constantly asking me, like, you're trying to have sex with people, or, and then he was constantly trying to get me to have sex with him. And I was like, I'm not going to have sex with you. Like, what are you saying? Like, what are you talking about? And by like basically almost the end of the week, I was gonna leave like that Saturday. On that Friday night, he pretty much, it was getting really weird. And just in the way he kept asking like to have sex with me, and he kept being like, you've had sex with other people without loving them and being with them, so you should do it with me. And at that point, that was what, like, something in my gut told me like, I need to leave the house right now, because it's like, how the way he's talking, it feels like he's gonna R word me. And I was I was scared. And so I pretty much gathered the stuff. I had like put everything in moving boxes. You can see my moving box videos, and I was trying to leave, and so I got in my car. He followed me, and he basically stood in front of my car and was like, "I'm not gonna let you leave." And this is like 10 p.m. at night, because I'm like, if something happens, no one's really gonna be able to help me. So that's why I was like, I need to go, and I need to go fast and now. And um, yeah, yeah, he stood in front of my car and wouldn't let me leave, and I kept being like, let me go. So finally, he let me go, but right before he let me go, he said, I locked the door, so I'm locked out of the house. And so, and he knows I wouldn't really let some person stand outside of the house. He's, yeah, he's so scheming and so manipulating that he knew that if I drove off, I would come back. So I came back to the house just to open it for him, and I left my car on the street, so I didn't even pull into the driveway because I was like, if he's gonna try to block my car again, that's not gonna happen. So I got in my car. I went to unlock the house, and I find out he never locked. He never locked himself out of the house. He pretended to sit and be pretended to be locked out of the house and sit. I think he saw me passing by because I passed by twice because I went back and forth from the street, and I think he saw, and yeah, so he saw me passing. He pretended that he was locked out of the house. That's how dangerous and manipulating this guy was. He And that's how I knew. I was like, okay, he was planning something. So when I found out that, I was like, okay, I'm going. And I was like, are you serious? So I went to go to my car, and he tried to stop me. He tried to grab my keys from me, and like luckily I have pepper spray, and in the moment that was my only option, was to pepper spray him, and that's what I did. It was very like scary and like adrenaline, and it was it was just yeah. So I got once I pepper sprayed, he ran back into the house, and and then I got in my car, and I drove away. I texted my mom. I was like, I'm coming home. And then she's like, what happened? Because it's 10 p.m., almost 11 at night. And I basically was like, I had to pepper spray him. I had to leave the house. So then she called me, and like, we talked about it. And then she got me a hotel so I could sleep the night in a hotel, and then get home the next morning. And like after the pepper spray incident, he kept calling me and kept calling my phone and being like, come back to the house. You need to come back right now and like take me to the hospital and all that. And I yeah, I was falling apart, and yeah, it's like I never thought like I would experience something like that. Like I've always seen myself as like a strong, independent woman, but like in that moment, that really showed me like how scary men can be, and how and just how like just how it is being a woman. Yeah, it's definitely just not something you wish upon yourself. And yeah, so I felt very lucky to have had pepper spray on hand, and I really feel like something would have happened if I hadn't, and if I had stayed in the house. Because it's like when your gut tells you something's gonna happen to you, you need to listen to that, and that's exactly what I did. And I'm glad I did that. I probably should have listened to my gut all along in the beginning and just stopped talking to him the moment it got weird, but I didn't. And that's where it got me to the point where I had to pepper spray someone and run away. I feel like it's just like I truly never want to be in that position again. Like I felt so powerless and so just defenseless, even though he's a small person. Yeah, and I just yeah, like thinking about it, like I'm still recovering from everything that happened. It's only April. This happened in November. This whole pepper spray incident happened November 4th. Um, no, yeah, no, November 8th. I'm pretty sure this happened November 8th. And yeah, so that that was my escape. I'm gonna do another part and just talk about the recovery process and like what I've learned and what I would do differently and everything. So like, comment, subscribe, follow my socials. Um, yeah.